So I wanted to give you some pointers on when you're using text, how to make sure that your application of that text looks intentional. So I already completed this on my watercolor paper, so I'm just going to go through some pointers with you for when I am using stencils or just text in general. So you could apply this too if you were doing something like bubble letters. So first things first is, you might want to be consistent in your lettering. So maybe I'm going 4 inches down and across, and I always line up twice to make sure it's nice and straight. But what I want to do is to give myself a bottom guideline that I can use with the stencils. So you do that nice and light. So here you can see I did this underneath my self-care, right? So then once I have put in the location of where I want the bottoms of the letters to be, then what I do is I actually start with the middle of the word. So my middle of the word, and I'll actually write it here. Mine has like a hyphen, and that's the middle of the word. I don't actually have a stencil for the hyphen, so I'm just gonna go ahead and lightly draw that in. And so then what I'm gonna do is start to draw the care. So I start in the middle of the word and I work out to ensure that it's centered. If not, right, your word might look like maybe you have extra space over here if you wanted it to be centered, right? So centering it, starting in the center ensures that it is centered. So then what I'm going to do is line up the bottom of my letter with the stencil. Now sometimes they come with guides. You can sort of see that here. For some reason this letter doesn't have it on the bottom row. So to be consistent, I'm going to just line mine up with the bottom of the letter. And so then I'm going to lightly trace it in. And then I want to think about spacing. So how much spacing? So I'm leaving about 1/4 inch in between all of my letters. So I'm working out from the middle, trying to make sure that the spacing is consistent with what I did for the C and the A. And I can see I'm using the same size stencil I did for the last one, so it looks like it's gonna all fit. I was a little afraid there that maybe I would run out of space. All right, so trying to keep this spacing in between each of the letters consistent. So now I'm gonna start with the self part. And I want to start with the F, right? So instead of starting with the S, I'm going to start with the F. So sometimes it helps to write it out to make sure that you can have a visual of it. I know we all know how to spell certain words. However, sometimes we do it in the wrong order. I know in my practice, I put self as S, or excuse me, I did F-E instead of L. So we all make mistakes, so it's kind of nice to have yourself a plan or a sketch to kind of go from. So I am going to run out of space because my spiral is in the way here. At least you see, oop. Right. You have an idea of how you can use your stencils to create very intentional tracing. Now, it doesn't mean you can't make letters crooked if that helps with your meaning. So if I want to make the C look like it's falling, that's okay too. But if you want it to seem intentional, you make sure that you use just kind of some common sense. Use those basics. Use some things like guidelines. That will help you out.